Boom. Hey, everybody. Hope you're good. You're well. Tell me if this broadcast is clear. Tell me if we're on the straight and narrow. That's what I need to know. Tell me that. Guys, go ahead and jump on here real quick. I'm still working on an intro for the podcast broadcast in the next couple of weeks. Even though they tell you, the best thing is to just do it. Don't tell people you're going to do something. Just do it. But I feel it incumbent upon me to tell you that I am working on that. I'm going to work on an intro because these programs, it's always better to have a little intro and an outro. That way it gets rid of all the dead space and all the dead, silence. You don't want that. Now, what I need to check is your comments. It's clear, loud and clear, somebody said. I'm so happy to hear that. And guys, jump on here real quick. I'm over here at my office at Similson Building, plot number 8585 along Simonwell Lane on the corner of Lucia and Simon. Where's my water? I know I had water. Sorry, guys, I need to. Well, if I feel parched, I can just go over there and grab some water. Loud and clear. Hello to Chris. Loud and clear. Sound not too good today, is it not? What's wrong with the sound? Tell me. Is the sound not good? I'm trying to get the sound good. Is it not good? Let me adjust that. What's wrong with the sound? Tell me. I'm all about making sure that you get the best possible sound. I'm all about that. So if you're going to help me, please help me on that. Sound loud and clear, watching from, where is that? Namwinga Water. Indeed. Guys, do me a favor, watching from Casablanca. Hello, Mr. Moyo. Hello to you. I'm going to have to make sure the sound is good so that we can proceed. If someone says file, the sound is okay. All right, let's go ahead and do that. Please sling this broadcast around to people that you think would be interested in this conversation, and let's have a chat about this. Let's get into it. First of all, I want us. Oh, by the way, before I get into that, did you hear this morning? I woke up to some shocking news. Rob Reiner, Rob Reiner. He's the famous Hollywood director. He's made many motion pictures. He's done some really great pictures. When Harry Met Sally, he did A Few Good Men, and you know who was in that? The great Jack Nicholson was in that. Kevin Bacon was in that. Wait for it. Tom Cruise was in that. Wait for it some more. Demi Moore was in that. That was a huge film. He also did Misery. Remember with Kathy Bates, Misery? I was saying earlier today during my live TikTok, sometimes you don't know a person's work until they die. All these years, I've watched Misery for many, many years, over the years. It never once occurred to me that Rob Reiner directed Misery. Well, this morning I heard some tragic news that Rob Reiner died. Both him and his wife allegedly killed by their son, stabbed by their son, which is it's horrible. I mean, kids, I don't know what's going on with Hollywood children. Or just the other day, I was reading a story of a young boy when he was 16 years old. This kid came from a wonderful home, Both of his parents were present in his life. Both of his parents loved him. Both of his parents did everything they could within their power to give him the tools necessary to function in the world. Well, you know, this boy was spending too much time playing Xbox, specifically a game called Halo 3. And his father walked in his room. Both the mother and father walked into the boy's room and said, "Son, you're spending too much time playing these violent video games. If you could just spend some time, half the time you spend on watching video games, if you could spend half of that time studying and reading and preparing for your exams, things might turn out better for you." The father goes ahead and confiscates the game and says to the boy, "You need to start reading, get to work, get to study." The mother and father go downstairs, they're watching television. The boy sneaks into the father's room, goes to the gun safe. He knows the code. Boop, 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 boop. The safe opens, he pulls out the gun, goes downstairs, boop, boop, shoots both of his parents. He calls the police. The police question the boy. The boy says, "Well, you know, my father just, he's been having mental problems. And he threatened to unalive my mother. My mother, and then he himself." Well, guess what happened? The father didn't die. He was shot in the head, but he didn't die. When they went to the hospital, he was revived. The boy was shocked to hear that, well, your father's still alive. The father tells the police the real story, that my son just came downstairs, boom, boom. What's going on with these kids? It's insane. A few comments on that. What do you think? Tell me. I like to get feedback on you on that. It's sad. Indeed, it is sad. It's very sad. All righty, let's get into. First of all, I want to deal with Jones Kasonso. You guys know who he is, and let me give you some clarity on Jones. Some of you think, which is what I thought initially. And how many people know that if you dig deep enough, if you read between the lines squintingly enough, eventually you get to the truth. Jones Kasonso is a Zambian that lives in America. He touts himself as a very learned professor. He says he's written books. Well, come to find out, what he's done in terms of writing books is that he has written a book that he published on Amazon. He's only sold 30 copies of that book, but he will give you this impression that he's a hard copy, tangible, published author that has sold hundreds of thousands of copies. Well, that's not true. The truth is, and guys, here's the reason for all of this. I think that when people put themselves out, especially when people say that they want to vie for the presidency, because I think at some stage, Jones Kasonso sort of indicated or intimated that he was possibly thinking of running for president. How he's going to try and achieve that is totally beyond me. Okay, because this is a man that lives from paycheck to paycheck. This is a man that is a certified alcoholic. This is a man that has no control over his drink or emotions. And this is someone that is putting himself forward for leadership. Anyone that places themselves forward for leadership needs. It is critical that you scrutinize them and you comb them through with a fine-tooth comb so that there are no surprises later on. I mean, I've always said this. I think that we are now moving into a dispensation in as far as the presidency is concerned. We're moving to a place now when anyone vies for the highest office in the land, that person, man or woman, should be scrutinized. That person should be asked tough questions, not only about their qualifications, but about their character. ECL used to say, character, 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 character. Character is very important. So when you hear us dissecting Jones Kasonso, it is not for the sake of dissection. It is because these are the chaps who claim to be putting their names forward for leadership. Thus, they must be scrutinized in every and any possible way. It is the way it is. So the truth is, Jones is not a published author in the traditional sense. He published a book on Amazon, and so far he has only sold about 35, 40 copies. Of course, that could change between now and the end of this broadcast. He could possibly sell maybe 1 or 2 extra copies. But to imply, to suggest, to sort of hint that he is an accomplished, celebrated author is reaching at best. I mean, that is just embellishment at worst. Let's just put it out there, okay? And this is a guy that, by his own hand, posted a video of him insulting his own wife in the most unconventional way that you have ever seen. I mean, you'd have to watch the video to know what I'm talking about. He goes on to insult his wife, to publicly humiliate her. And you can hear his ex-wife, not his wife, his ex-wife. You can hear her in the background saying over and over again, never again, never again. Now, if you are an abused woman, if you are in a relationship, if you're married to a narcissist, you're married to a man that has just made your life hell, you will recognize that lingo. You will recognize the tone in her voice when she says never again. That is the sound of a woman that has come to the end of her wit. That's the sound of a woman that has reached the end of her rope. The sound of a woman that has decided enough is enough. I'm no longer going to be in this abusive relationship. It's time for me to leave or die. If I stay, I'm going to die. If I leave, I've got a chance. I've got a chance at life. I've got a chance at a second chapter. I've got a chance at self-redemption. I've got a chance at a new beginning. But if I stay with this man, oh, as sure as I'm sitting here, he's going to kill me one of these days. He's going to off me. And so here it is. Finally, she had sense enough to walk out of that marriage because she knew she was going to die. Now, here's the thing that you don't know and that you're going to know now. And this is a few days ago, Jones was on a broadcast and he was talking about the Kaonde people. For those of you that are interested in Zambian topography, the Kaonde people hail from the northwestern portion of our country, up this way. They originally came from the Congo, you know, they sort of bled into that portion of the country. But they're Zambians. The Kaonde people are us and we are them. Jones Kasonso seems to have it in his head that HH is mistreating the people of Kaonde, which that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I've never even heard of this. What is this? What mistreat? Somebody, maybe you guys can tell me. Tell me in the comments, how is John? I don't mean to laugh, but this is perfect. Sorry to say, but this is a perfect description of Jones. I'm not body shaming. I'm just saying this is what it is. You know, Jones. He's just for him to suggest, for him to imply that HH is somehow mistreating the people of Kaunde. Somebody please explain to me in the comments, what does that mean? Okay, here's the question. How is HH mistreating the people of Kaunde? Maybe let me ask it that way so that I can hear an answer. I mean, Jones, looks like your mic is not working and we are hearing you from the camera. Oh, really? And yet, Apanachi making sure that camera there, Wumba. Testing 1, 2. I'm so disappointed to hear that. So, this whole time I thought I'm speaking through this mic. Tell me if this mic is working. It sounds better now. It's working now. Oh, where? How uninspiring. I made sure that I set my audio. I made sure I did it. Testing 1, 2. I can hear you clearly. Probably the issue is it's working perfectly. Yeah, but not done now. We'll have 15, 20 minutes. All right, let's just go back. Guys, and this is why it's important for you to give me the feedback. Once I go live, please tell me that no, mic is not okay so that I fix it. If you don't tell me, I won't know. Sounds better now. Okay, because I've just fixed it in the audio. So what it is that, let me just go back a bit so that we understand where we're going. Jones Kasonso touts himself as an avid author, when really the truth is he's not an avid author. He's not a celebrated author. He wrote and published a book on Amazon, and that book on Amazon has only sold about 35, 40 copies. Now, of course, that could change by the end of this broadcast. But my point is, at face value, one would think that he is an author because he touts himself as an author, but he's really not. And he was recently on one of his lives. And again, let me reiterate, Jones Kasonso is a Zambian that lives in the diaspora, specifically in America. He was married to a Zambian girl that he took over to the States, and together they had 2 children. Lots of issues there, a lot going on there, but I'll just give you the important bits. That young girl lived under Jones Kasonso's umbrella and endured years of physical, mental, and emotional abuse. Finally, she decided to leave that union. She decided to leave that house because she made a decision. She either stays and dies or leaves and lives. Did you catch that? She either stays or die or leave and live. And that's what she did. She decided to leave. And people don't realize that because of Jones's certified alcoholism, I mean, this is a man that cannot control his drink. He can't control his liquor. And because he can't control his liquor, it affects everything that he does from a professional point of view. And that goes without saying. The other day, now let me bring you up to scratch and speed as to where we are now. The other day, he was on a live broadcast on his page or somewhere. And he sort of implied that the reason he doesn't support the UPND
which really, if you don't support the UPND, that's your choice. This is a democracy. Each one of us are free moral agents. We support who we want. So if Jones decides not to support the UPND, he is well within his right to do that. And he should not be faulted for that. He should never be faulted for choosing a different way, because that's his choice. But Jones seems to believe or think that the reason he has chosen not to support the UPND, according to his last post, was that he didn't like the way HH mistreats the people of Kaonde. Now, my question is, how has HH mistreated the Kaonde people? Many of you know the Kaondes are located in the northwestern portion of our country, going this way. They originally came from the Congo and they bled into Zambia, but they are us and we are them. They're Zambians. But Jones says, no, the Kaonde people are close to my heart. And then he breaks down, starts crying. Now, all of us, well, not all of us, but a lot of people cry on social media. I've done it. There's nothing wrong with crying on social media. It's an emotional thing. I mean, as I recall it, I've cried twice on social media. The very first time was when I had to confess to my audience, this was years ago, that I had been deported from the States because of my visa. And that took me years to come to terms with that because I was ashamed of that. But being a social media personality, I knew that it was going to be a topic and I had to deal with it. Rather than people hearing rumors from anywhere else, I decided to come out with it. This was, I forget which year it was, but I remember I sat in this very office many years ago and I told my audience, look, this happened and I should have been more vigilant. And I didn't. I was careless with my documentation. I overstayed and they sent me back. And that was a very emotional thing for me because it was shameful. I mean, it was very embarrassing, but it happened. And I came to terms with that. So when I shared that with my audience, I became emotional. I cried. The second time I cried was when I felt overwhelmed with this constant, never-ending battle against cadres. All of a sudden, I found myself realizing that I'd been fighting cadres since the MMD days. And then I looked at myself and I thought, well, I'm getting older now and maybe I don't have the same strength that I used to 10 years ago. Maybe I don't have the same stamina that I had 15 years ago. And yet the battle is still the same. And so I became emotional about that. I thought, when is it going to stop? Now, Jones broke down for two reasons, and I'm going to give you the reasons. I want you to just type for me. Type in the comment section. Just say, I'm ready to hear this. Now, this is not gossiping. This is just fact. And remember, I have to do this because this is a man that has placed himself in front of his audience and said he wants to be the president of Zambia. So anyone that says they're going to be president has to be scrutinized. Their character has to be scrutinized. The way they do things has to be placed under a microscope. So this is what I'm doing. Jones broke down the other day, and you remember, let me just remind you, he was talking about the Kaonde people. And then he said, the Kaonde people are close to my heart. And then he cried. And he said, the reason I don't support the UPND is because they mistreat the Kaonde people. Jones, have you lost your cotton picking Georgia peach mind? Just what in the hell do you mean HH is mistreating the Kaonde people? I mean, how? For who? For what for? It's total nonsense. Total unadulterated, quintessential nonsense. Now, let me tell you why Jones Kasonso cried that day. There are two reasons. Number one, he was drunk. That's the first thing. You can't ignore that. The brother was tipsy. He was high as a kite. Brother was sloshed, mate. He was drunk. That's the first thing. The second thing, and this is the truth, the second thing is that Jones, his first wife divorced him because of so many emotional problems that Jones has. But one of the main reasons is that it was because he's a narcissist. He's a sadist. His first wife divorced him because, I'm not going to get into the other part because I've been asked not to go into those details, but you know what I'm talking about, is that he physically and sexually assaulted members of his own family. That's the truth. That's a fact. I'm not making that up. Okay? He spent 7 months in prison for that in America. The only reason he was not sent to prison is because his significant other at the time refused to testify against him. Because, sometimes women have this thing in their heads. No, this is the father of my children, so I can't really testify against him. And there are women who think like that. And then there are other women who will throw you underneath the bus and not bat an eye. Well, the woman in his life at the time chose not to testify against him. And when that happened, if there's no testimony against the guy, he kind of walks. He walks free. And the only reason she did that was to protect the fact that this, as much as my relationship with this man is over, he's still the father of my children. And that's how he escaped. That's how Jones dodged a bullet. But for all intent and purposes, Abasungu would have thrown him under the bus. Musungu mkashana. Oh my goodness. Should have just gone and testified and say, Afiachita. And the court would have sent him to prison. So that's the first reason he broke down. The second reason is he got married to a second wife, but she cannot join him in America because of his character. Hear me. He got married to another girl, a Zambian girl here in Zambia, but she cannot join him because of his character. He's unable to secure passage for her into America because of his character. So all of that was weighing down on him, and he realized in that moment that, my life is a mess. And I can't even get the woman, my second wife, I can't even get my second wife into the United States because of the way I am, because of my character. That's why he was crying. And that's the truth. It's true. I know that's difficult for some of you to stomach, but that's just the truth. All right. That's enough about Jones. Ivanka Bianca. Did you hear this? You remember a while ago, and full disclosure, Bianca is someone I know, I've met, I've talked to. But because she threw this in the public domain, it's up for discussion. Okay, let's just be clear. Yeah, it's true. I'm going to remind you. I'll remind you. Remember, Ivanka Bianca came out a few years ago. Must have been about 2 years ago. She came out with these allegations that Roberto had forced her to abort her children, and she complained about it on social media. I mean, it was huge news. She went on a tirade. Roberto never responded to those allegations. Now, how many people know that, when a side chick decides to destroy your marriage, honey, she's stronger and more vicious than King Kong and Godzilla put together. Somebody say amen to that. Tell me amen in the comments. I'll say it again for you. When a side chick decides to destroy your marriage, and she just has it in her mind, she's determined to destroy your marriage, honey, she is more powerful than King Kong and Godzilla put together. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Oh, boy, tell you, that's heavy. Tell me if that resonates with you. Somebody said amen. You ain't lying, boy, I tell you. Bianca came out with these huge allegations. He made me abort my twins. He made me abort my children. I was pregnant several times by him, not for him, because in Zambia we say, no, I was pregnant for him. That's wrong. You were pregnant by him. He impregnated you. He didn't impregnate you. He impregnated you. She said all these things, and social media was shocked, and they, how social media is. People said so many things. Roberto never responded, which I'll be honest with you, I found that to be quite interesting. And kudos to him. However, and let me say it this way, however, even though Roberto didn't respond, I can tell you conclusively. Now, I'm not giving you inside information. I've never spoken to Roberto about this, okay? I've never, ever once sat down with Roberto and talked to him about this. I've never sat down with Bianca and talked about this. I'm just telling you from my point of view, when a side chick divulges that type of information and you are married, I can tell you, your marriage is under so much, your marriage becomes under siege. The discombobulation, the storm that rages, the tsunami that occurs in your home, undescribable. You and I will never see it. You and I will never, because it happens behind closed doors. But I can tell you, any couple that goes through that publicly, they are in a world of hurt that is very difficult to recover from. That's the reason I find it strange that all of a sudden, you guys remember Bianca got married. She sort of dropped off social media for a little bit, even though she did tell us at some stage that she would never marry a black man, that she loved Caucasian men. And if you like Caucasian men, honey, that's just you, and you're fine to do that if that's what you like. If you like white men, more power to you. Bianca made it very clear that, a black man is not her portion. Well, she married a black man. And then after a while, she comes out and says, everything I ever said concerning my abortions as it regards Roberto, everything I said was a lie. Now, this is what I think. I don't know what you think. This is what I think. This is how I interpret that. I think Bianca is trying to convince her current husband that she didn't abort any children, that her body is intact, that there's nothing wrong with her anatomy, that everything she said about aborting these children as it regards Roberto, all of it was a lie, and my body is still intact. I'm fine. That is Bianca's way of saying to her current husband, this body is not damaged. It's fine. I don't believe her. I don't. Well, that's just my opinion. What do you think? Tell me. He never even talked about her. I think Roberto ended the relationship and it hurt her so bad, hence the lie. Possible, possible. But my thought is this is Bianca's way of trying to convince her current husband that she's not damaged goods, that she's fine. Now, again, the reason I'm saying this is because this is in the public domain. She brought this out. So I don't want you to think that I'm outing anybody. Come on, be mature, guys. This is an open discussion because this is a topic that was brought out into the open. Can we agree on that? Are we clear on that, guys? Yeah? This is what I believe as well. Okay. All righty, what's next? Millie's ex-husband. Oh, my goodness. Guys, here's the rule. When you move on, let's say you're in a relationship, and this isn't always easy to do, especially when both of you are social media personalities. I tell you, when I was coming up, we didn't have the social media we have today. I mean, this thing of where people live their lives vicariously through social media it's a mess. It honestly, really. I mean, I just couldn't imagine living your personal life on social media every inch of the way. It's just amazing to me. But here's the rule, I think. This is this is the way I would do it. When you are in a relationship and it ends and you go your separate ways and you meet other people and you start over, the chapter of your life that had your ex in it is over. Guys, let's be clear. The moment you begin to incorporate it into your present, you're asking for trouble. You're going to affect your current relationship. Are we clear on this? Let me say that again because I think that's important. When you move on, you divorce, you start a new chapter and you've agreed there is no hope in hell for that relationship to be resurrected or to be reinstalled. You move on, both of you meet different people. You start over again. You open new chapters, new avenues. Honey, it's over. The moment you begin to reincorporate your ex into your present relationship, oh, honey, you're asking for trouble because your present relationship is going to feel the weight of that. It's going to bring up issues of trust, and you don't want that. When you start a new relationship, you do not want an issue of trust. What you want is to move on. Bury the hatchet and move on. What your ex does is no longer any of your business. Even if they talk about you, leave it behind because I'm telling you, it's gonna bite you in the butt. I'm not kidding you. It is going to creep up behind you and it's going to grab your butt, honestly, and then it's going to toss you. It's going to toss you every which way but loose. And then we're going to have to sit here and watch you go through this pain and hold your hand through it. You see, this is what annoys me about these young people. They mess up and then they come back on social and then we have to hold their hands. I'm not doing it. Millie, I love you. Mulwanda, I love you, but I'm not holding your hand through this. You guys, in the words of HH, you're on your own. That's the truth. But we do love you guys. We do. And Zambians love that. Well, hey guys, I've been on here for 39 minutes. That's a long time. I can't talk more than that. Not pila. I know I had two other topics. We'll do it some other time. Please forgive me for not having the audio properly done. I learned my lesson. I'll make sure I do it right. Thank you, guys. The sound is ahead of your picture. Yeah, I've seen that. It's an internet thing, I think. All right. Thanks for watching. God bless. Bye.